431, consideration of changes, additions, or removal to the agenda. Number 3, we'll move on, public comments. No public.
agreed to pay for annual maintenance, annual management, and that's like $400 a year. So in the ballpark of a couple of $1,000s, we're gonna need to get money from the town and pay ourselves from the grant, as well as the electrical contractor to hook up the system. So it's kind of, what's that? It's okay, but I have to be careful. I'm trying to protect Ludlow Electric to not pay more money out than we agreed to. And then,
Well, we shouldn't.
correct, thank you, we shouldn't. And just the mechanics of it are a little different than what I thought they were gonna be, so, I'll leave that there. As you guys know, the office has been without AC for the last 4 weeks, probably, starting in the first heat wave. We made it through that, we made it through another. There was one day, I think a week ago Friday, when I let everybody go, because it was like 83 degrees in the office. We were opening windows at night, closing them during the day, blah, blah, blah. But meanwhile, we got 3 bids in for the air conditioner replacement. We also did bids at the same time for the shop, because that was an issue last year, right?
Mhm.
So what you'll see in your packet are bids for, I think they're tagged Q1, Q2, and Q3. Q1 is only for the office. Harriman Mechanical presented a bid for $6,581.83. They did not bid on the shop, so that was the only one they did. Then I have 2 other quotes from Master and HB Energy Solutions. Master did $12,183 for the office and $21,207 for the shop. HB did $11,380 for the office and $49,580 for the shop. So very, very different, but what I'm recommending is we do Harriman for the office at $65.81, which is about half the cost of the other 2. And then for the shop, that we actually move forward with Master at $21,000, which is well over half of what HB Solutions was for that one. So that's my recommendation, that we proceed that way.
What, 2 things. We budgeted for this.
We did budget for the outside,
Okay.
outside thing.
Okay.
We did not budget for the air conditioner failing
And I
at the
could
office.
look this up, but what was the budget for the shop?
Oh, sorry you asked me that question. I actually don't know the answer off.
I mean,
off my
if
head,
we're in the
But you were in the
range.
ballpark, you were in the ballpark.
Okay.
But I think,
And just clarify the air conditioning for the shop.
yep,
It's the office, the conference room. I mean, what is it?
yes.
Because that's a
it's-
huge space.
Right, we're not heating the garage
I-
or cooling the garage area,
right,
right? But it's the 3 offices on the left side
Yeah.
as you go in.
Yeah.
Brett's office, the office with the SCADA system. We're skipping the bathroom, there's the one other office. And then there's the break room. Those are the ones on the left side.
Okay,
Across the way, there's another office that has a bunch of electrical equipment and computers and associated with the meter management. That's also
Okay.
included in this.
okay,
So we're doing those 4 places.
okay, thanks.
Yeah. So I don't feel like I need a motion from you guys for this, because the office is a repair, right? That's a replacement repair, and we got bids, and we feel like we got this low bid. And then the shop was something you had approved in concept before. So, and I feel like the 21,000 is very reasonable. You know, I don't know why HB came in at 49,000, but I have no doubt
They
that
didn't want it, I don't know.
maybe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like.
I mean, off record, I'm happy to give you my personal opinion about competition and capitalism, but you don't want to hear that right now. So, ever.
Yeah.
Or, yes, they probably don't want to hear it ever.
Otherwise, I mean, it doesn't look like they're measurably different.
In terms of in terms of what they're
It's the same
proposing to
The
do,
work.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not. So, so my proposal would be to go forward with Harriman to fix the office. Relatively inexpensive. I told Brett, thanks for selling the truck for $7,000, because I paid for that. And for Masters for the shop, because I think that's a reasonable thing to do. They're gonna need that. It's, the portable ones in the break room's just not, it works okay, but it's not what they should have. And then Brett's working in 86-degree weather in his office, so, yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that's something we had approved last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so, more stuff on my report. We did meet with TDS and go over the roughly 30 telephone lines that we had. We've reduced them to about 10, maybe 12. And we are figuring out how to set up fiber optic for the SCADA stuff that we need, but also in that context, we did do fiber drops to get the shop on VoIP phone, which is what the rest of us are on, and that's related to that whole thing. We're moving forward with that.
Okay.
We applied to the state for vegetation management, where they'd pay for the next 2 years $70,000. We'd pay roughly about 40,000, but we're paying it anyway because we're doing the vegetation management. But the concept here was that we would buy a excavator, a hydraulic excavator for the shop to use with an attachment that was about $189,000. That was in the capital budget, but we also are looking at how to finance that. We went to the state. They have a municipal financing option at 2%. We applied to them. They actually deferred our application last week because they weren't sure we could pay it back. And I think they don't understand that, I think they're used to dealing with municipalities where a taxing authority is clear, right? I don't think they're used to dealing with a utility where the same thing, we can recover our costs, we have to and can do that. So we'll work with them. Meanwhile, the CAT dealer offered both a 7 and 10 year financing option. We have confirmed that we could pay that out early, so if the state thing came through, we could pay that off and not incur costs. I still am feeling like, and also we had a July 1st problem where the price would go up 2.5% if we didn't order it by then. That's $3,600. I'm still feeling like our cash flow thing is questionable enough that even though I said, we could finance with the vendor, get the equipment, start doing work, hope for the grant to come through. It looks, there's nothing in the grant that looks not positive, should go through. But I'm feeling like maybe we should just hold off for this summer, because I'm feeling like I really don't need to add any more cash out the door at the moment.
If we financed through what would be the,
It wasn't really set up as a interest rate per se, it was, but we did figure it out, it was about 5.5%, not bad. But what it was either an annual payment, much like you did for the loader, of about $39,000 a year for 7 years, then you own it, or a monthly payment that equivalent to that, so
yeah.
that's what they had.
So if we do hold off till next year on that, who's gonna be dealing with, will we be
This was-
sourcing out?
We still need to contract and do an RFP for high tree issues.
Mhm.
This was only to be able to do ground stuff, to keep it from growing up. So this would be at the ground level. I think that you could spare a year and not incur problems with stuff growing up into the lines, right?
Yeah.
But we still need to do an RFP to find somebody to replace the longtime contractor that was under contract with Ludlow, because he's 70-something and is retiring.
Right.
So
Okay.
we'll do that. And both we and TDS, because we share polls, increased our budget to $50,000 each last year, and they did that this year. So we have $100,000 to spend on tree trimming this year.
Okay. Do we have any, have they seen any problems?
Well, yes. So I want to say, last week, or the beginning of this week, there was a tree on a line. It wasn't one of our lines. It was actually a distribution line to a home. So that doesn't really count, I guess, is how I would describe it. But there is still some damage that occurs. We were fine during the storm that occurred last week. Ironically, like 2 days later, we had an outage because of a tree falling on something after the fact. And by the way, GMP experienced the same, because I was home and in Randolph there, and we were out for a while. But I would say that generally, we're pretty much on top of tree trimming and making sure that doesn't affect outages. We do need people to deal with the taller trees on the side that might come down. But I feel like this whole program was designed to like deal with underneath right-of-way stuff, and that can be deferred a little bit
Okay.
until we get all these pieces in place. Because I don't, like, if I can get the grant for the 70,000 and get the financing at 2%, then it becomes much more obviously worthwhile to move forward with that. So, does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right, we finished the documentation for the FEMA work that we were doing on Route 103. That's all done. They will presumably pay us another $39,000 for that. And, sorry, $35,000 for that. And then we have one more project that we're working on with the mill that they've already paid us for, the mill, but they haven't paid us overall for any of the administrative costs we've incurred throughout this flood issue. And that will be paid after the mill project is done. So that should occur this summer, and that'll be another $39,000 to us. And then we'll be done with the FEMA thing in time for the whatever flood comes next.
Is that, is that the mill, that's the, in the basement there?
Yeah, it was a combination. Definitely the basement was flooded, that's where stuff was. It's been relocated
Yeah,
up
they've
above.
moved it up above.
Yeah, but there's one more transformer and pole reset thing that needs to occur there. As I say, FEMA's already paid us for it, but we haven't done the work yet. Once we do the work, then we can file the administrative costs for
Okay.
the 39,000. Yep. Last two things are kind of planning related. Attended the all boards meeting last Monday.
That was great.
It was good. I'm glad. Gene came with me as an electric light commissioner.
Yeah.
Logan was there.
Yeah, I watched it.
You were, but
Yeah.
you, I know, and you were handy to have there. So we did they asked us to do an exercise to name our priorities and what we thought. I've provided you with that information. I don't know if you have any questions about it, but obviously I did it not as the commission's decision, but as like, here are my thoughts and.
Yeah, no,
subject
it
to
was really good.
commission
I
say.
watched the whole thing.
Okay,
I was
good.
out of town and
Yep.
I think.
Okay.
You guys,
There'll be more. I mean,
thank
it's
you for
not.
going though. That was good.
Yeah, I think
it's
it
important.
was good, and also, I think the most interesting thing to me was the fact that they indicated that they need to do work on all their dams, and, Ludlow Electric started with hydroelectric dam. You'll never get the ability to like suck all the water out of any particular reservoir and put it into hydro. But there are smaller run-of-river things and also what I would call hydro batteries, where in times of large flow, you pump it into a storage silo, for lack of a better word, and then let it out and generate electricity at peak periods of time to reduce peak. There are opportunities to consider, and I just kind of threw that out as like something I'd like to explore. You all need to know that any hydroelectric, anything, run-of-river, anything, needs to go through the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, FERC. It's a 5-year process. It doesn't matter how small it is or how big it is, it's the same thing. They have tried to do an exemption for under 5 megawatts. I don't think that's ever succeeded. They might have simplified the process a bit, but it's still not quick. So it's just something to think about. But that whole process made me think, I had already started thinking about the next big thing that should be done on your plan, in your guys' world, should be a strategic plan for where you want to see this utility to be in 5, 15, 20 years. So this kind of preceded that a little bit, but I think, it's I'm feeling like the priorities right now are the rate case, the rate design, then strategic planning. So I'm picturing early next year focusing on strategic planning. I'm receptive to any other thoughts you guys have in terms of different priorities or different schedules, so.
No, I think that's,
Yeah.
yeah. The only thing that that I've talked about before that just maybe on the radar is just this idea, you've kind of talked about this idea that, the two major cost drivers for us right now are that transmission is going up.
Yep.
And that people are using less power.
Yes.
And so I think that, just one of the thoughts that I keep mulling over is just whether we can help with, whether there's internal system grants that we can do to get people on higher service and using more power.
Yep.
Or,
Yep.
administering grants so that we can help people get mini splits, air conditioners, things like that, so that then they're using more power from us.
Yep, we could do that. I think we gotta fix the, so where all the complaints come from is the demand rate, right? It's the
Yeah.
triggering the demand rate.
Mhm.
And we need to fix that, otherwise we're not gonna be successful with
Yeah.
that type of thing, but I agree with exactly what you're saying. And unfortunately, FEPSA established a new project management application process to get things going, and we did that for the demand, for the rate change, the rate design change for that residential demand. But that took a little bit, and in the last month, and we haven't made any progress on that in this month. That's all I'll say. But it is clearly a priority for us. I guess the last thing I'll say is I attended the VEPSA meeting, which was a planning meeting, annual planning meeting. Raised my budget concerns with them. They've agreed to, I got a bunch of other people to join me in this after I raised it, but they've agreed to create a more transparent description of their budget and essentially do what we have to do as a utility, right? We have to do a cost of service. What does it cost us to run this utility? They've agreed to do something similar, where they're analyzing what does it really cost to provide the services they're providing, and where do they charge them? Because we have our fee, our regular monthly fee under the CDA, but we also have fees showing up, administrative fees showing up in when they purchase recs for us, when they do other stuff for us. There are other administrative fees there. So I'm just asking for transparency there. And then when they produce that, I can better analyze like whether I feel they're fair or excessive or not tightening their belt quite as much as they could be. So that was kind of the main thing there. That's it, I think, for me. And Brett's not here, so I can't report on his report except for to say that my understanding is that now all the AMI meters have been installed, but for Okemo and Magris. So even the solar ones got done the day before yesterday or yesterday. So I think we're in very good shape to analyze now how things are really proceeding.
Right, and is that like usually like 3 months or 5 months?
We're
to
doing it
be able
now,
to
Michael.
analyze it.
Right. Michael, to his credit, has been giving me stuff every day. Like, here's what I see. He gave me a chart. He's given me multiple charts. I get charts every day, which are interesting. And, you know, I don't need to explain this one because you don't have it, but it's basically like analyzing the residential demand rate people versus the residential O1 people on this. I'll hold it up. Blue is residential O1, orange is demand. What it shows is the usual duck curve for the residential O1, but the demand is even. And what that says is that whatever power they're using regularly all the time, not just at a particular
Yeah.
time of day.
Uh-huh.
It's good information. What we do with it, I'm not sure yet, but we're getting very good information now from the AMI meters. So that's an example of what's going
I
on.
think that speaks to our strategy with the demand rate, is that we want to remove the cap
Yes.
and keep a peak limit, and that would seem to support that idea too.
Agreed.
I think
Yeah,
it's,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is it going with Okemo there? Have they
Good.
started putting in
On the compressor project?
yeah.
Yes, we are installing transformers and doing the interconnect now.
Okay.
So they are moving forward with it, and they're paying for that. So I mean,
Excellent.
I think we're still gonna be on target for having that online by snowmaking time
Yeah.
this coming fall.
And along the battery project,
Yep.
did we find out if we had to have any zoning for the site?
We did not. I know Light Shift is looking into that, but I don't think
Okay.
so. I think they're
Yeah.
just leasing the
I
land.
know, it's
I think
something we
they're
had
gonna be
just
okay.
talked
Yep.
about.
But that's in their court.
Okay,
But
yeah,
I'll
okay.
double, I check in with them monthly just to see how things are going, to
Yeah.
make sure they're moving forward.
Yeah,
And as you know, it took a long time to get the lease agreement with Okemo signed, just like it took a long
Right.
time for us to get the agreement signed with them for paying to have them change the compressors over.
Yeah.
I never imagined it would be so hard to get agreement to give somebody money,
I-
but that was the case.
It did
Yeah.
take a bit, didn't it?
It did take a bit, yeah.
So maybe it's too early to tell on the AMI meters regarding staffing? Is it too early?
I want to talk with you about that under executive session and personnel, but it is not too early.
Okay.
But I would
Okay.
prefer to do that
All
under
right, that's fine.
executive session, if that's okay.
Sure.
And can you just, this just came up, where are we? We've got till what, the middle of August? How many people have applied for?
Oh, for the acre program?
Yes,
You actually have the end of August.
okay, I
um,
remember the date.
Four are approved,
Okay.
two are pending
Nice.
application, and there might be two more that we know of.
Well, that's,
So that's eight
awesome.
total
Yeah,
so
it's-
far.
Good.
But it's out
our
there.
Well,
goal
because it
was
could be
what?
the-
Our-
79.
I was gonna say 80, but.
Right,
okay.
I
Well,
teased Terry this morning, I said, when she told me that, we had the four approved, and we have the two pending, so that's 6. I said, only 73 more to go. So, yeah, but that, I don't know where they got the estimate or the goal from, but it doesn't matter, we'll just keep doing it.
Yeah,
But we are doing it, and it's happening.
yeah.
I may stop by and look at the process with her, just to see how we can maybe reach out to other folks.
Yeah,
that,
there may
uh,
be,
Yeah.
there may
may
be,
need help or whatever.
Right.
yeah.
Or may not realize that,
That we're, yeah.
So we did a bill insert last month.
yeah.
To announce this, and just because I have a sick sense of humor and I like to torture people, I sent VEPSA a bill for $525 for doing that insert. They've agreed that they could pay $328 of it, but other stuff they didn't feel were justified. I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm not gonna argue with them about it, but the point being that
I
they
get
established
your
this
point.
program,
Yeah.
they get administrative fees for managing it,
Mm-hmm.
we get nothing, and we've got, believe me, the 525 putting the bill insert is minor by comparison to having to structure our billing system to accommodate it,
Mhm.
bill appropriately, make sure we have people, dealing with this, answer calls from, customer service people about
Right.
this. So I'm just kind of annoyed by the whole program. I think it's good, a good concept, but I don't feel like we're getting, like we on the utility side that are implementing it are getting a fair shake. So I will take the $325 though.
Fair enough.
All right. Anything else, Jean?
No,
Just the Astray, just curious if we have any, we don't know, you don't know anything except that there is dieback and.
Oh, the ash tree, yeah. So we couldn't tell, I mean, I always felt like it wasn't exposed to emerald ash borer, and the arborist that came out earlier before it leafed out felt the same way. It's just that the treatment needed to occur in May or June when the leafing out was occurring, because that's when it can absorb the most. So I needed to go forward with that. And now that it's leafed out, and when we were doing the treatment, we looked up and said, yeah, there are some dead branches at top, which could have been just winter kill, but some of them looked more recent. And then the leaves at the very top are not coming out as fast as the leaves at the bottom. In other words, there's some sort of resistance occurring up there. And they thought, okay, that might be indicative of emerald ash borer, which starts at the top of a tree and moves down. So we don't know. We do know this is really a minor infiltration at this point. So the treatment will, they are fully confident the treatment will kill that and be fine,
Nice.
so.
Can they do that in the fall when the leaves fall, or does it have to be spring?
No, it has to be spring so that when the tree is bringing
Yep.
sap and stuff up
Yep.
to that growth, that the chemicals get up into that as well. So that's why it needed
So
to
it
be done
starts
now.
at the top, not from the center of the tree?
Right, that's what they said.
Okay.
I'm not an expert on emerald ash borer, but it sounds like it starts at the top and
Uh-huh.
moves down.
Good to know.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, and so the other piece of this is the town did vote to provide like $30,000 worth of money for ash tree removal and potentially treatment. It's not clear whether they had thought it was treatment or not, but that won't be effective till July 1st. I had to do the treatment now. I've talked with Penny about, would you accept an invoice after July 1st to reimburse us through that? They might, but I don't know. Okay.
All right, so Brett's not here, so no
Right.
outside operations managers report. Move to number 7, discussions and action on Velco Transco stock offering.
Yep. So, as you guys recall, and this shows up now that we're done with this shows up as number 7 on your little red pink tabs. Thank you, Lisa. So, as you'll recall, we've done this before, but Velco as a transmission organization, the utilities in Vermont are actually members of that and buy into that. And we have an option to buy into additional stock for capital they're raising in the amount of $616,230. It's a 9.3% return on our investment. And we don't have to pay anything. Actually, VEPSA finances this for us. We pay them a small interest rate, a very small fee, like 0.01%, so it's not significant. And at the end of the day, after the 20 years, we would earn, I'm gonna look at my charts here, see if I've got it. Yeah. Michael did an amortization chart for me, which I'm gonna spare you from, but I will tell you the bottom line. At the end of the day, for that $616,000, we will have received $353,360 in interest and payments. So no cost to us.
Right.
That's what we pay the principal and interest, but you don't see it. At the end of the day, we do see this, and then we get, we own that proportion of the stock. So it's actually a very good deal. We should do it, in spite of the fact that last month we got hit with the court decision that said all the transmission organizations in New England had to pay like some ungodly amount back to ratepayers for a case that had been pending for 15 years, that they decided against the utility, the transmission organizations. They were charging 10.57% return on equity. The FERC approved 9.3. That difference over the 14 years that the thing has been pending, plus interest, is what needed to be paid back. It was billions of dollars. It affects things, it affects people like, all the southern New England utilities that are strictly transmission organizations, much more than it affects Velco, but it did affect Velco. Velco was willing to structure this so that we could pay pay our interest portion back, which was 800 and something thousand, back over 10 years. But we've made much more than that over the course of the lifetime of those things. So, this strikes me as both a good deal and something that we should invest in. It also is, I mean, one of the VEPSA members said the other day, like, well, if Velco could just do all of this way, we wouldn't have to charge any rates at all. We could make all our income from there. Okay, a little extreme, but I understand the concept. And what you should know is this is a relatively small offering. There's going to be another one coming to deal with the Highgate converter replacement, which gets power from Hydro-Quebec down, but also to allow excuse me, power to go back to Quebec, should that ever be necessary, and make it reciprocal. But that's a $50 million offering that will need to come through, that they'll be looking for funding for. So earlier days, we used to finance this ourselves. We used to just buy them.
Mhm.
They're too big now. So VEPSA, is financing it. And that's why we don't have to pay any money at all for principal or interest on these bonds, because Velco's financing it. VEPSA, I keep saying Velco, sorry. VEPSA's financing it. We pay them the small administrative fee, as I talked about, of 0.01%, and they keep them. And then we do still get the dividends applied to our CDA. So that's where the $350,000 comes from at the end of the day. Then the other thing to note about this, which might be more complicating, is that there's also a thought change here. Because when we paid these off, VEPSA used to just send them to us, and they were ours, and we keep them in-house. There is some thought about them keeping them on our behalf and using them for collateral, so that we get to the ratios that the department wants us to have in terms of equity to loan to debt, debt equity ratio. That's another conversation we can have later on, but for today, I would say this offering for $616,000 worth, and the benefits we'd get $383,000 at the end of the 20-year, over the course of 20 years, is a income that is worth doing. So,
Do you want a motion on that?
I would please.
I will move that we adopt or opt into the Velco offering.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, I think we should, yep. That passes. Velco Transco stock offering.
Great, thanks.
Do we have a chart or like a schedule of the units that we currently
Of all the
own?
units, I'll get that to you. Yes.
Years that we purchased?
Yep. We can certainly get that to you.
And we must have, we have, because we've done this at least twice now since I've been on the board, so we have multiple
Yeah.
lines like ongoing. This is a 15-year cycle. We have
Right.
multiple
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
overlapping cycles.
Yeah, I
that
think
we'll
we've
do.
done it twice since I've been here, so I think, I know there are more.
Yeah.
I will get that
I'm
and
just
get
curious
that
for
out
the
to you guys.
overall, like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
how
that's
much
good.
we
Yeah,
have.
Yeah.
that's good to know.
And-
yeah.
and then it's only recently that we started financing it through VEPSA. We used
Yeah.
to pay them ourselves.
Right,
so-
Yeah.
right.
And the stocks that we have,
Yeah,
as opposed
We-
to stocks that.
that they're holding for us.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
good historical information.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as you know, the only other stock that we ever had was the M&T Bank thing, which we
Right.
sold last year.
Right.
Yes.
Finally
So
got, yeah,
we don't have that anymore.
resolved, yeah.
Yep. Okay, I will get that to you. I'll figure it out.
Anything else on that?
Nope.
Move to number 8, discussions of town master planning process and Ludlow Electric Department priorities.
Yep. So I kind of dealt with this in my report, but, I think that was a great meeting to hear from everybody, and we presented a very quick list that I just created out of the top of my head. So I wanted to see if you all had other thoughts on it, or if you want to think about it some more. This is going to be an ongoing process, but it also made me think that if the town is going through master planning right now, maybe we should speed up our strategic plan work a little bit. Because, like I said, I thought maybe that could occur next spring, but I don't want to be behind what the town is doing.
Right, that makes
And-
sense.
Go ahead.
I agree, although I do think it will take them some time to develop their master plan.
Me too. I don't think this is a rush.
But it would be good for us to be ahead.
Yeah,
I
agreed.
agree, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when would you want to maybe get started on that?
I'd like to spend a little more time on the rates and the rate design stuff
Uh-huh.
before I start delving into that with you,
Yeah.
but I could picture us doing this, early fall, mid-fall,
Okay.
and starting that process.
I think that's really smart to
Is that
to be
okay?
a step ahead.
I think you
on
want to be,
that,
because
yeah.
clearly, what I discovered from this meeting more than anything else is they consider us to be part of the town. And I don't think Ludlow Electric has ever thought of themselves as, they were obviously a village of Ludlow Electric, but I don't think they ever thought of themselves as connected to the planning process, the financial process, or anything else associated with
Because
the
we've
town.
been very separate.
We've
Even
been
though
very
being a
separate.
municipality, we've been a separate entity.
Yeah, and we still are, and I would encourage us to still be,
Mhm.
but I want to be respectful of the fact that, we are a municipal entity.
And getting a jump on that, I think, helps us stay in that
Yeah,
zone in a sense.
I agree, and it helps me understand where you want to go and where you don't want to go, so that when things come up, I can, relay that.
And maybe having, like, when we do this, having a clear boundary of that we are,
We're clearly separate.
Yeah.
I mean, right, our finances are not mixed. They
No.
are not responsible for our
right,
debts, and we're not responsible for theirs.
right.
So that, to me, is kind of fundamental, different than some other towns have worked on,
Yeah.
but that's kind of where we are.
Good.
So I guess what I would ask as kind of a homework assignment for you all is just look at the handwritten list that I provided at that meeting. Tell me if there's something else, or, different, or additional, or things you don't agree with. And just let me know. I mean, this, again, not urgent, but it would be helpful if you could take a look at that and just give me your feedback. Okay?
Yeah, and I liked, towards the end of the meeting, I think you suggested to give them some help and thought in towards the dam and the hydro.
Yes.
And I'm glad you spoke up on that.
It only came up because I wouldn't have thought to mention
Yeah.
it, except for that, I don't remember the gentleman's name, maybe you guys do, who mentioned the maintenance on the dams that was occurring.
Right.
Probably BJ.
George Tucker.
BJ,
Oh,
yeah,
BJ or Georgia.
okay.
So, yeah, with the dams, I think there's supposed to be, I don't know, approved or fixed or such is it every 20 years?
I don't know the schedule for that.
I think
yeah.
it is, and I think we're past that time. The last time, from what I understand, we're maybe 5 years over that.
Yeah.
So it looks like
But
they might have
the
to.
carrot here was, if we could do small run-of-river hydroelectric or some small battery-type thing
Yeah.
that I was describing, right? Then we may be able to get funding to help them, right,
Right.
do this. But again, it's a longer-term process, and,
Right.
and the way it was described at the meeting, Gene and Logan, correct me if your impression was different, was that the dam structures themselves are fine, we just need to dredge out behind them because they're collecting a bunch of silt. Don't know if that's true or not.
Most
I-
of, yeah.
I'm not 100% sure that they know that at this point.
Yeah.
I think
But-
that there is
They need some,
engineering analysis
Yeah.
to go on.
There is a report on them. I will, now that I like have this on my radar, I'll read that.
Yeah.
I'll see,
Yeah.
and then also connect with George or BJ, because, you know, I think if those guys are working on it, I don't want them to feel like, we're gonna put a, you know, cog in the wheel.
I
Wrench
wonder
in the wheel.
about
Not
the
sure about that.
snowmaking pond, if that's included with the dam program, because in the past, I know, so there's a state inspector that will come and look at, you can have a state inspector or they can hire
Mhm.
from within.
Okay.
And I know in the past, they've only hired somebody from within Okemo to inspect
To
them.
inspect it, interesting.
So I wonder if that is at all.
I don't know. I do know that any artificial pond or water structure that has more than a 3-foot head on it, in other words, there must be a dam or a berm or something,
Mhm.
needs somebody to inspect it. And
Right.
I don't know at what point it becomes state versus
State
private.
versus- Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
But anyway, that's on the list now
Okay.
to start looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know if you have thoughts, please, on what
Absolutely.
you see there. Thank you.
All right, moving to number 9, discussion and action on 2025 annual report.
Yep. There's not much here except for that, I just sent it to you, so.
I'll look at
Right,
it. I
yeah.
haven't
Right.
yet, but
No, I just
but
sent it to
will.
you, so.
Right.
Take a look at it.
Uh-huh.
I would appreciate feedback and edits and things like that throughout the month,
Sure.
rather than waiting until next month. Ideally, if it's like, I modeled it after all the last ones, but all the numbers, all the other stuff have been adjusted, presented a letter from me, describe different things, put new pictures in, put pictures of the bears in, so, and put a picture of the pole accident, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
With the wires all over the
Yeah,
car.
yeah, yeah, that was
And use
something
that
else.
as part of the hazard, like what to do
Oh,
and what
good.
not to do,
Good.
so, anyway, look at
Yeah,
it,
the
see
one
what you
that's
think,
Yeah.
and, let me know.
Okay.
So Logan, you're actually, you have a version in your hand that is printed and folded and stapled. I might make you in charge of doing the 2,000 copies that we have to do, because I have not been able to figure out how to do that
Oh,
at my office
Yeah.
yet, so,
You gotta print it as a PDF and then open it in Adobe.
yeah, okay,
Adobe
yeah,
has
and
paper
then,
printing.
and then the
You gotta
printer
make
wants to
that.
know what, like, it thinks it's dealing with half-sheet paper, yeah, okay, never mind.
Yeah, yeah.
But I might put you in charge of the copy.
so
I can
you
send you a
will
PDF
send that
if you
out
want.
to be,
Oh, yes,
Oh,
oh,
okay,
definitely,
yeah,
we're not
okay.
doing that.
that's what I
Yeah.
said.
Ultimately, once we agree on what it looks
Yeah.
like and
Yes.
everything,
Right,
it will
right.
be sent out for printing.
Yeah, excellent.
That'll be great. It's been a long time since people have had.
Yeah, I think it's
I think
wonderful. I'm
people
glad you're doing
like
it.
this. I know before I was on the board, I liked this a lot. And I
Yes.
read
Cool.
it
Yeah,
Yep.
every year,
Yeah.
and so I think people do,
Cool.
maybe
Yeah.
more than we even know.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I think it's wonderful.
All right, well, that's my first cut at it. Let me know what you think.
Will
Sure.
do.
Okay.
All right, and moving to number 10, state assessment review.
Yep, for this, I'm gonna need the PowerPoint, or a PDF to walk through. So, as you know, the state, because of Hyde Park's financial situation and the mismanagement that occurred there, and by the way, VEPSA stepped in and did a terrific job of saving them, which was recognized by the Department of Public Service. They really appreciated that. Hyde Park appreciates that. But the reality was that caused the commissioner to think, where else might this be happening? And so they did this whole assessment of all the utilities, not just the municipal utilities. They did do the co-ops, and they're also doing GMP. I don't know if they have done that yet. But this is, it came out better than we thought it was gonna come out. Not because we thought that it should come out worse, but because we weren't sure how the department was gonna review this in the context of that. But I think generally they were pretty pleased with everything people are doing. But there are some pinch points, which we already know about. But it actually ultimately helps us, I think. So do I just need to call out, move forward on this? Okay, so let's go forward until, all right, so here's the schedule that they did, and who they met with. And for us, for Ludlow, number 4, met with me, Michael, and Ken Nolan from VEPSA, met with them. Okay, I think we can go to the next one. They did all of them. GMP hasn't been done yet. Themes. Rate case-orama, meaning everybody is filing rate cases now, and it didn't used to, right?
Right.
And we, too, we waited for a very long time before filing a new rate case. And maybe the best thing to do is just quickly go through these and then go to the next slide, which is liquidity is low. We don't have a lot of cash on hand. Oops, sorry,
No,
back
keep-
up a little bit. Sorry, Lisa, I'm not ready yet.
No, I'm not doing it, Rebecca is.
Oh, Rebecca, sorry, okay. I'm gonna blame Lisa anyway, Rebecca. Liquidity is low. The number of days of cash we have on hand is now low across the board. If you just look at our available, like, typical checking account fund, we have 1.5 days. We've got about 40 days if we put in all our CDs and did all that. Ideally, we're trying to get to like 90 to 120 days of cash on hand. But there's been no mechanism to do that. And that's one of the things that DPS has realized as a result of this, and that's why is one of the most interesting. Because this is, if you look from the top to the bottom, 2008 to 2026, when people filed rate cases and for what number, you see, other than GMP, which came in almost every year, and by the way, I was commissioner when we did the minus 1.5%, I just want to point that out. Other than that, you see this big white space, right?
Yeah.
In the middle, and what's happening, you know, back in 2010, maybe you had several doing rate cases, Ludlow did a 9.5, but nothing happened all through here, and now in this block, right, everybody is applying every year, and that's the rate case-orama thing that we're talking about, and that's a function of two things. One is, you know, kind of getting along and not wanting to do rate cases every year or anything incremental. And two, being able to survive based on past balances that you had. We had one. And now three, between 2023 and 2026, the reason everybody's coming in are power costs.
Yeah,
That's
what I
what's
thought,
driving
yeah.
it.
It was about a 10-year, the power cost just stayed low.
Yeah. All right, so next slide. Growth in electric rates, you see us, from 2010 to 2026, we were about 2.3%. And if you look at it from 2022 to 2026, we were up at 7.9. I think this includes the 21.5% from last year,
Yeah, it does, yeah.
but, yeah, so
And it includes the 7.6.
it does not include this year's 7.2, no.
It did on the other chart.
You want to back up a little? I'm sorry. Ludlow, 7.2.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is on there.
okay.
It is on there. You're right. Good catch.
I was surprised that it included
You were
that,
just reading it.
like
yeah.
something that we just filed that they haven't accepted yet.
Yep, correct. Okay, sorry, thanks, Rebecca. Two more
What's
forward.
that tell you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Two.
read the chart.
I made the chart already.
All right, so, thank you. This is cash on hand, municipal utility, equity, liquidity. You know, they would consider extremely strong to be over 270 days, very strong 150 to 270, vulnerable 15 to 45, and highly vulnerable minus 15. And then a debt to capitalization equity, which we'll talk about in a minute. I guess let's go on to the next one, Rebecca, thank you. So here's what we got. Barton, 0. BED, they have available credit, but they, you know, they're probably the best with 141 days. Stowe is next with 124 days. We're at 27 days, which was generous, right? But when you look at everybody else, they're in the, you know, month to maybe half a month or less of cash on hand and liquidity. It's just one measure, but then, okay, we can move on to the next one, I think. So this one is probably the most important chart, because they look at this and think, so if you look at the observations in the center, long-term debt, they consider Hyde Park and Barton to be highly vulnerable in terms of long-term debt, and 7 munis are extremely strong, less than 20% long-term debt. Depreciation, and in general, this is the long-term debt versus depreciation level. And what they see what they see is that our long-term debt is 6%, right, down here. We're at the lowest part of the long-term debt, which you would normally consider to be a good thing, right? We don't owe people a lot of money. I do consider it a good thing. Then you look over here, and they see the amount of gross plant depreciation, and they see 75%, which means our plant is old, that we're not,
Yeah.
they interpret this as, we're not taking on debt to invest in our system. And our system is old and therefore vulnerable. That is an incorrect conclusion from this, but it shows where, what they're thinking is, they want things to be more like GMP, which is kind of scary, where they have a 50% debt and a 34% depreciation. So that they are borrowing to invest in their system, is how they interpret this. I called Sean right after I saw this, Sean Enterline from DPS. I said, we've got one of the most reliable systems in the whole group, right? We have very few outages. They don't last long. We are building our plant. So I don't think you can go by this. And he goes, yeah, this is an interesting couple of data points, but it's not the whole story. So I already got that kind of on the table, because our system is extremely reliable. I think I told you the first day when we were driving around, like, nothing is straight and nothing is level. How do you keep this system working? But they do, they have. And it's a very reliable system. And we are doing investments. We're not necessarily, in the past, we haven't necessarily borrowed to do those investments, but we've been doing those investments. So I think this is interesting, and I want you to understand how the department's looking at it, which is, you're not borrowing anything, which means you're not investing in your system, and you've got a really old system. They think that's not right. There's more to the story, but I wanted you to see what they were thinking. Okay, Rebecca, can we go to the next one? Thank you. I'm trying to see if there's anything relevant here. In capital planning, only 2 years ago did we start the capital budget, right? We're now ahead of several of the other utilities, so we're not on the list of concern, right? But we do need to, so here's what we didn't do when we did the capital budget. We did the capital budget to explain what we would incur. We didn't actually capitalize any money for that. We didn't budget within the context of the income we were getting to make those expenditures. So it was a good planning tool, but it wasn't a financial tool. And next year, we've really gotta do that, right? Figure out where is the money coming from to spend for this year, next year, and the next 5 years, right? How are we gonna do that?
I think a lot of that is because we can, right? Like, everything is always a year behind.
Right, that is,
So that's-
yes.
Well, and
And
also not having one from the past,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're absolutely correct. And if DPS shows even a small window of opportunity for changing that, I'm gonna take advantage of it.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Think we can go to the next one, Rebecca, thank you. Okay, succession, yeah. Everybody's old. Yeah. They have us as experienced and retirement age for both, for the general manager and the finance, and they are right on both counts. So, all right, Next one, because that one was a depressing slide for me.
Well, those kind of things, I mean, you can look at it today and say, what was going on 10 years ago or 5 years ago?
Yeah.
When management, the boards should have been looking at that time.
Correct.
And that has happened not just in Ludlow Electric it's happened all over. You can see it in municipalities all over the state, and
Yep.
probably not just our state. But, I mean,
People feel like they're irreplaceable, and so they don't reach out to create a succession plan, which is unfortunate.
right,
Yeah.
the people themselves, but also I feel like that management and boards, that's part of their responsibility and should have been.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna have to
We
go
will-
change that going forward.
Agreed, and I think that's part of the strategic planning discussion, because, yeah, a lot of us are old, and we have a bunch of young people in lineman work.
Mhm.
We got nobody in the office, that's not even near retirement age. And then, some people in the outside plant that are, like, close to retirement. We do need to do that. That's
Mhm.
part of, like, figuring out how this is gonna be successful in the long term. You can always hire, I guess, new people in, but they're gonna be inexperienced in what we do until they get their feet wet. And it's part of the thing. Yeah,
Mhm.
thank you. Okay, take a look at this comment about Jacksonville. No, never mind. This is poll. This is not succession, so, sorry, never mind. We can go forward. Rate case, the DPS got the impression from visiting with all these people that there's a general reluctance to file for necessary rate increases. In part, it's a cost issue. In part, it's the wanting to not ruffle customers' sentiment, but there's the opportunity with very little regulation to do up to 3% per year, as long as you don't go over 10% in 5 years. Then you gotta file a new rate case. That we had to file these 2 rate cases because there was no way to make it with the minor adjustment. We thought we might have been able to do the minor adjustment last year until we saw the power cost things, and then it was like, no, we have to do a full rate case. And this annoys people, right? Rightly so, right? It's like watching your healthcare benefit costs go up, and we don't want to be in that position. But the one thing that the state looked at that they proposed, which might be interesting, see that last line, BED instill like the idea of power cost adjuster, but VEPSA
I
has
was
little
just reading
desire for
that.
it. Right, so we discussed that at the annual meeting, and a lot of the members support the concept of a power cost adjuster. And what it is, let's say quarterly, you look at your power costs, and you actually get to adjust your rates based on that power cost, high or low. You adjust them up, you can adjust them down, but you do it on a quarterly true-up, so you don't have to wait for a rate case to figure that out. The downside of it is that, one, you're changing people's bills every quarter on ways that they probably won't understand, but also that what Ken was resistant to was that, and this is true, what happens with regulators. So DPS says, would you like to be able to do a power cost adjuster maybe on a quarterly basis? And you go, Yeah, that actually would be helpful. Okay, then we only need these 17,000 pieces of information in order to support that, and the reporting becomes overwhelming.
Mhm.
If the reporting is excessive, and that's what Ken's reacting to, is what they're gonna ask for to support you making that change is just like another rate case. So instead of doing one rate case a year, you're doing 4. That's a problem. And they're working on it. They understand the issue. Maybe they'll come to a solution, but that would be one way of being able to adjust this so we weren't losing money all year long and then having to try and retroactively make it up. I'm gonna skip the complaints of overregulation because I think it's baloney. Okay, we can keep going. All right. So, their recommendations, this is DPS's recommendations, are that, one, that we set up an automatic annual power cost adjustment mechanism like we were just talking about. It comes with, whether it can work and be effective is the question. Liquidity is low. Allow cost recovery for cash reserves. That's a new thing. That's very helpful. That is very helpful. So that enables us to build in to say, okay, this is our cost of service, and this is what our rates are based on, but we want to build up a cash reserve, so here's an additional rate component that needs to be included to make us healthy and have that. And then their whole debt to capital issue is more complicated. They have an idea what they think should be. They think the GMP structure is about right. I think it's not. But also recognize, just like we did here with the Velco equity call, we borrow from VEPSA. That does not show up as debt to us. That shows up as an operating expense. Then they need to change that because we do have more debt than they've acknowledged. Luckily, your excellent department manager has gotten us into more debt in the last year, so we have a better number. But, between the line of credit and the borrowing for, equipment and
We'll
stuff.
have to remember that.
Exactly, right? Yeah, put that into the annual review notes, but yeah. No, I mean,
Excellent how much debt.
like the two things I've managed to do are spend all your cash that you had on hand and borrow more. So
Percent of debt.
I think we can go to the next
I
one.
think-
That's what we asked for.
I was gonna say
Right. Succession planning. I don't think we need to deal with the Fidium pole maintenance thing either, at all, because we don't have any
Yeah.
Fidium poles, we're
Right.
just TDS and us. I don't know, their thing for the rate case reluctance and overregulation is to build a routine where we encourage rate cases every 3 to 5 years. Don't let 10 years go by between rate cases. I think that is appropriate.
Mhm.
I think people would understand and much more expect a 3 to 5%, or an inflationary increase each year,
Mhm.
rather than wait 15 years and then get hit with
Right,
21.
because people know that there's a cost, an
Right,
additional
right,
cost. And
right.
when they don't see it, they know they're going to get it
Right.
sooner or later.
So I am still surprised that we didn't get more complaints about the 21.5, but it sounds like most people realize, oh yeah, I don't think my electric bill's gone up in a decade, so I think that was part of it.
And I feel like a lot of places where there was an increase, it was a minimal amount as compared to what people pay for fuel oil and
And
some
other
other things.
increases, so.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
That's my
And certain-
take on
Yes,
that.
okay, thank you. I think we're ready for the next one, Rebecca, thank you. So here's our residential rate ranking right now. We are the third to the lowest. Northfield and Oleans are a little higher, but on a per capita percent, overall, including everything, the demand rate and everything else, we're down
GMP's right up there, aren't
Oh,
they?
yeah.
yeah.
GMP is, WEC is, Hyde Park is. I want you to look at the Jacksonville line, because that's gonna become relevant in a conversation we're gonna have in a little bit. And, yeah, so I think, we're still doing really well, and we're still providing an excellent service, reliable service, amazingly reliable service at a relatively low cost compared to others in the state. And this changes all the time, because I think Northfield and Orleans have both gone in for rate cases too, that aren't necessarily reflected here, so.
Yeah.
Okay, next, Rebecca, thank you. All right, so this is gonna be hard to see because everything is in black and white, and all the black lines look the same. But this is about, customer performance and rate thing. The munis are the bottom line here. So we are the lowest in terms of, if you will, interruptions in service to customers. And VEC is the dotted line, that one you can see clearly. The others I can't tell, but I think GMP is, I think this one is WEC, Washington Electric Co-op, and I think GMP is this one.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that we are this one, which means, again, excellent service.
Yeah.
So, and I think that impressed the DPS when they looked at this, because they thought we were all a bunch of, like, wackos, and, anyway.
Well, boy, wonder why they would have thought that.
Right, there you go.
Fair enough.
Next one, I think, is gonna be, SAFE, similar. I think we're the bottom line here. So, again, these are outages and customer service responses. Okay, next one. I did ask them if they could provide that in color so I could actually see who was.
Yeah,
who.
yeah.
I think we're done. Are we done? We're done. Thank you very much, Rebecca, for scrolling through that. So I wanted you to see that, to see what their impressions were. They did this in a record short period of time. They did all those meetings between February and April and created this report. And I think they basically got it right. So, and I think they were surprised at how well the munis were doing.
Good.
So I'm done.
All right. Any questions, you guys?
No, good report, good presentation.
Yeah.
It was,
Good.
well done.
Thank you.
And
And
we'll
thank
move
you, Rebecca, because I couldn't have done it without you.
We'll move on to number 11, executive session.
Yeah. So there are two
Oh, sure.
pieces here, if I may introduce
Oh.
this. There are two pieces, one on personnel and one on contractual matters. I've given you new language that needs to be read as a motion to enter into executive session, if you would. And if it's okay with you, I was gonna ask Lisa to be allowed in on the personnel discussion and Brett to be allowed on the contractual matters, but Brett's not here, so if I could ask if it's okay to have Lisa be part of this, that would be appreciated.
That's
with
the
that?
first part, so that she can lead after that. I just want to be,
Yeah,
Protective
you can
of
make,
her
you can
time.
make two motions, right. She can leave after Part A if she wants. Part B won't take very long, I don't think, but anyway, that was my plan originally, was to say, Lisa, can you stay for the personnel if the board accepts it, and then you can go. So that's fine, and I can keep track of the other things we do, but.
Sure. I'm
But
fine
she
with
can,
that.
there's no reason she can't stay for the contractual discussion if you want, but it doesn't matter.
Okay,
Yep.
I'll make the motion that we go into executive session to discuss personnel matters under the provisions of Title I, Section 313, A and 3 of the Vermont statutes. And add that Lisa has been invited to stay for, the first and the second motion is to move to find a permanent general public knowledge regarding Ludlow Electric's contract negotiations would clearly place the select board at a substantial
Whoops.
disadvantage. Do you need that?
No, substitute select board for electric light board, sorry, I pulled this from.
Electric commissioners.
Electric commissioners, thank you.
Yeah.
Yep,
We don't
my fault.
need this for the first executive session, though.
Can we combine them, or?
We need the first motion and we'll
You
need to
should,
vote on that.
you should
first.
Okay.
vote, I think you should vote on them separately, but the discussion can occur in one
Yeah.
executive session.
Okay,
That's
all
what.
right, so I made the
I'll
first.
second.
All in favor to go into
Aye.
executive session?
Aye.